sentiment benevolent. Dharma friends, sitting still in vital silence, wanting nothing, we practice eco-Buddhism together. The sound of the temple bell booms for all to cease from conflict. The way of Buddha ushers in the dawn of non-violent global village forever. Here is the after sound of the bell. Thunder of silence, light after Dharma rain. Om Amoga Vairocana Mahamudra Mani Padme Javatraya Pravartaya
Please stand for the chanting of the three refuges. We're waiting for those people over at the temple to get going. So please repeat after me the English version. I go for refuge to the Buddha.
I go for refuge to the Buddha
And resolve with all beings.
and resolve with all beings.
I will cultivate a heart of enlightenment.
I will cultivate a heart of enlightenment
And realize the great way.
and realize the great way.
I go for refuge to the Dharma.
I go for refuge to the Dharma
And resolve with all beings.
and resolve with all beings.
I will penetrate the teachings.
I will penetrate the teachings
And uncover oceans of wisdom.
and uncover oceans of wisdom.
I go for refuge to the Sangha.
I go for refuge to the Sangha
And resolve with all beings.
and resolve with all beings.
I will seek peace and happiness for the many.
I will seek peace and happiness for the many
And transform this world into Buddha lands unimpeded.
and transform this world into Buddha lands unimpeded.
Please be seated. We'll have a little different order of service this morning, which I will explain to you. Sunshine and ice crystals sparkle in the cold, freezing air this morning. An auspicious day, the beginning of the Lunar New Year of the Ox and Valentine's Day. Good morning, everyone, and welcome in from the 10 directions. It's a special service to begin the Lunar New Year, and we're going to have, as part of this, some special music, a talk about the parable of the ox, some chanting that we always do for world peace at the beginning of the year. A message from our Dharma Master, Doan Sunam, and finally, I think, because we never know what happens with technology and with us, the 4 great vows and announcements. So I see on the screen, and soon coming in live, a dear friend of our Sangha now. His name is Paramita Needle. And he came to Ann Arbor to teach at Clonlera School. And while at Clonlera, discovered the temple, came already interested in Buddhism, trained as a Dharma student, became one of our Dharma teachers before he went on to Worcester, Massachusetts. And while he was here, the temple was alive with the sound of music. He's a wonderful musician, composer, and lover of the Dharma. So he put all of those together while he was here. And it was quite a joyous time. We sang, we danced, and the songs even went on tour to our other temples. So I was in touch with Paramita yesterday, last week, to see if he would sing one of his beautiful songs to begin this ceremony, this part of the ceremony. It's called Mahayana Mind, and Paramita and the talk speak for themselves. So, are you there?
Hold on, we'll mute it.
I am here. I like that. That's great. I'm here. Can you hear me? You can't hear me. My mic is on. My camera's on. Hajil, you need to have your speakers on. I'm here, Hajil. Haji, you have to have the chat on. Yeah, well, I'm here, my dear. Yes, I'm here.
Everyone else can hear.
Okay, so just let him know that.
Yeah.
Just let him know that so he can sing for that.
How'd you let him know that he can go ahead?
I'm sorry.
Please let him know that he can proceed.
You can proceed.
Yes, I know that, but you can't hear me. Hajil.
Let's just all hang in here.
Hajil, you can't
I can see
hear
that
me.
you're speaking, but we cannot hear you.
That's right.
Everybody else can.
Yes.
Okay. So please go ahead, Paramita.
Okay, I won't wait for you. So my first question, nobody can respond to me because I only have one view. And the people in the temple can't hear me. So I need to have some way of knowing. You can put in the chat, am I loud enough or am I too loud? Put that in the chat now, please, if you can. Trying to be, resourceful about how we do this.
The only thing, Marina, is we gotta come back to this.
Okay, nothing in the chat. Piano, too loud, too soft. Okay, I just hope somebody can hear me because I'm not getting any response. This is the first time for me to perform under these exciting technical conditions, having no idea whether anybody's hearing me or not. So I wrote this song in 1994, I think, 27 years ago, and I was trying to convey Mahayana mind, big mind, audacious mind, sort of non-dual mind. But reading this song now, it still seems a little dualistic for my taste these days. Of course, we need a little dualism. Dualism, you can't tell if you're spending too much money on what is actually pretty lousy pizza. So we need it for that. And no problem. So the thing about Mahayana mind is it's so big and inclusive that it even includes when you have absolutely no idea where it went. And it includes when you don't have any idea what I'm talking about. That's fine too. If you can rouse some questioning, what is it? What's he talking about? That's Mahayana mind. Just getting yourself into that questioning mode. That's great. So here we go. I hope this is loud enough or not too loud. Nothing in the chat. Mahayana mind. Like waves upon the ocean. Memories and emotions too. Just flow float on through. Just float on through. Mahayana mind, waiting patiently. Let your cares unwind. Suddenly you'll find Mahayana mind. Mahayana mind. Like raindrops from a summer sky. Fantasies and lullabies. Dry up and die. Dry up and die. Mahayana mind. Staying constantly. Leave yourself behind. Suddenly you'll find Mahayana mind. Deep and each and every breath. Beyond the reach of birth and death. An eye so clear, a heart sincere. No notion of nirvana, just Mahayana mind. Dancing all the mountains down, chanting in a countless round of soundless sound, of soundless sound. Mahayana mind. May the world be free. Love all humankind. Suddenly you'll find Mahayana mind. Deep in each and every breath. Beyond the reach of birth and death. An eye so clear, heart sincere. No notion of nirvana, just Mahayana. Dancing all the mountains down, chanting in a countless round, soundless sound, oh soundless sound. Mahayana mind. May the world be free. Love all humankind. Suddenly you'll find Mahayana mind. Love all humankind. Suddenly you'll find Mahayana mind. Yay, thank you. I just want to say that I would never have left Zen Buddhist temple in Ann Arbor just to go to Worcester, Massachusetts. I have to say, it's not. I went to Japan. I left Ann Arbor because I needed to go to Japan. And when I came back, I needed to be closer to New York City. That's when my parents were sort of declining. And that's how I wound up in Worcester and why I couldn't come back to Ann Arbor. So just letting you know that I never would have left you guys just for Worcester. I just, had pressing business across the ocean. Many blessings. Happy Valentine's Day. Happy Lunar New Year. It's the year of the ox. So that's a pretty good year. We need some ox. We need oxen this year. So pull, oxen, pull. That's great. Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Paramita. And thanks for making the correction. You serve me well sometimes. Yeah. It was so good to hear you because it reminded me of the days when that piano would be going downstairs and you would be playing the songs. Yes. Have a good rest of the day.
Thank you.
Hey. Bye. Love. Well, next, our dear Hayun is going to share about the year of the ox and some of the parables of the ox. So let me move aside so you can see her.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Haji Sinim. I have to say, from my heart, as a member of our choir, I have actually sang that song a few times, and it's so incredibly touching to me to hear it from the source, the person who wrote it. And I hope you'll come back and sing for us again, Paramita, that was beautiful. And again, happy Lunar New Year of the Ox. Happy Valentine's Day. May this service be our Valentine's Day gift to you. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the parable of the ox herder, which is a wonderful story. It is a collection of 10 pictures, and they basically trace a path to enlightenment for a young ox herder. And that young ox herder is supposed to represent all of us. And the ox is interchangeably, it can be enlightenment, but it also can be all of the things we struggle with on our path to enlightenment. And it's you can see it displayed in a lot of Asian temples in China, Korea, Japan. It was made in the 12th century by a Zen master named, should I be using this? Oh, let me just click it. Is it on? I think so.
No.
Okay. Excuse me. Okay. I hope everyone can hear me okay. It was made by a Zen master named Ko-un, and he lived in China in the 12th century. And you can really see that even today it resonates so much. It certainly resonated with me in my Buddhist path, and I'm hoping it resonates with you. So I wanted to say that one of the things that I've read, I want to actually do an appreciation for Martine Batchelder and John Dado Laurie. They've given me a lot of inspiration to talk to you all. And a lot of the words that come from me, you'll hear resonant with what they have said. So for me, though, there's one piece before we start our search for the ox. And I wanted to show you this. I call it the Hayun part of the ox herder parable. Yeah, this is me a lot of the time. My dear friend Lucy got our thought bubble all scrabbled up. And for all of us, though, we start with this sort of cauldron of whether it's anger, like Lucy has, or whether it's anxiety, whether it's fear, whether it's greed, you know, that little cauldron that's constantly like bubbling. And it sometimes someone throws a little wood under the cauldron and it goes poof, and then you have the bean pot going to the top of the ceiling. So that's where we kind of are. And what I read about these parables, it's really important, is we tend to, with our minds, look at something in a very linear path, like, aha, where am I on this path to the enlightenment? And what I've read is that that's not the correct way to look at them, because they're more like a spiral where we can actually be somewhere midway one day, 1 minute, and then we're back to this. And then we're back to the search. And then we're actually closer to the end of the path. And so we need to not look at it like it's some sort of linear piece that we measure ourselves by. So let's just start in. The first picture, and Marina is going to help me and show you the picture while I read the poem that Master Guan wrote to accompany each one. The first picture is called The Search for the Ox. In the pasture of the world, I endlessly push aside the tall grasses in search of the bull. Following unnamed rivers, lost upon the interpenetrating paths of distant mountains, my strength failing and my vitality exhausted, I cannot find the ox. I only hear the locusts chirping through the forest at night. So obviously our dear ox herder is lost. He's searching, but he doesn't even know what he's searching for. He kind of knows that there's something, feels that there's something stirring in him, but it's not before his eyes. It's all kind of obscured. I think that every single one of us has a story that relates to this part of the ox herder parable. For me, I remember one moment when, long ago and far away, I was the head of a big organization and I had traveled to San Francisco to ask a grant for a lot of money from a big foundation. And so we met with them that day and they said yes. It should have been a time that I was jumping for joy. And I remember sitting in the windowsill of my fancy hotel room with my fancy suit. Hard to believe it now, isn't it? But I was there and I kept looking out the window, and rather than joining my friends downstairs, I kept thinking, there's just gotta be more to life than this. There's just gotta be something that I'm not seeing. And I think that each one of us can point to a time in our life where that kind of pull tugged at us, and we're just sort of like, we're not quite sure what it is or where it's from in our own mind and our own path, but it's there. And I think that's where this ox herder is, and there's beginner's mind there, right? We're beginning to open up. We're beginning to see that there is a path, even though we don't even know what it is. So let's go to the second one. Discovering footprints. Along the riverbank, under the trees, I discover footprints. Even under the fragrant grass, I see his prints. Deep in remote mountains, they are found. These traces can no more be hidden than one's nose looking heavenward. All right. Obviously, our hero has caught a glimpse of the ox. And he's hoping that the ox is not gone, that glimpse is not the only thing. So this maybe is the part of our path where we kind of heard about Zen practice. We've said, there's a meditation class happening soon at the temple. I think I'm going to check it out. We are at that point intellectualizing everything. You know, we may hear about meditation and we say, wow, you know, is that really relevant to us now? Or is that just for the old masters in Asia? Or can we find any relevance? So we're reading books, we're kind of like intellectualizing everything. We can't get out of our heads. But we're still in that stage of thinking and we're attracted to it. And we're saying there's something that attracts me here, even though I'm in my thinking mind. And my thinking mind is telling me this isn't real, just as like astrology is not real, this can't be real. But we go to the temple and we say, I'm going to go ahead and take that meditation class and see what it's all about. And then we come to number 3, which is called Seeing the Ox. I hear the song of the nightingale. The sun is warm. The wind is mild. Willows are green along the shore. Here no ox can hide. What artist can draw the massive head, those majestic horns? Okay, so our hero has caught sight of the ox. He's taken that meditation course. He is in the mind where he feels to himself, I remember this feeling. I'm going to go to the temple, take this course, and then I'll understand it. I'll get it, and then I'll just go home. And it'll be one of my skill sets that I take home with me. So at that point, you're really attracted to the practice. You really want to do it. We just are kind of on fire. We take a course, and each time we come and we learn about things like the 3 foundation stones, and really, it's very deep. We get excited about the practice. And the phrase, the sun is warm, the wind is mild, that suggests that he's seeing something, we're seeing something, that maybe it's not about anything other than ordinary things, the ordinary things around us. Maybe it's not something so extraordinary, but he's still questioning. He still has this tendency to run counter to his practice with intellectualization. I read that it's this insidious tendency we have to intellectualize stuff. So again, we go to books. How many books on Buddhism can I read? How many of this, that, and the other? One interesting story is that I think for the first, 5 years, Haji Sunim was not allowed to read a book on Buddhism when she was practicing. And then suddenly she did after 5 years, and she said, oh my gosh, this is what we've been doing. I love that story. But it shows you how much we have a tendency in our culture of trying to understand something and things that we just can't possibly intellectualize. So then we go on from seeing the ox to catching the ox. I seize him with a terrific struggle. His great will and power are inexhaustible. He charges to the high plateau, far above the cloud mists. For in an impenetrable ravine he stands. All right, he's caught the ox. He now knows that he has the power inside of him, within his Buddha nature, right? But he's still God, and we still have all of our previous conditioning to deal with, being pushed and pulled by them. When we sit in meditation, oftentimes we can't concentrate because we're we're learning to meditate, but we're not there yet. And so we go back and forth. I certainly am familiar with this part of the Oxford parable. We still have that tendency to think, I can get over this. I can learn this. Catching the ox wasn't as hard as holding on to it. And so that's when a lot of people just decide to say, this is too hard for me, I'm done. And what I urge you not to do is to stop at that moment, because you're on the path of something very, very important. So you just got to hold on to that ox, because he's going to be fighting. And it's a tremendous struggle, and it goes on all our lives. But this is the stage of the journey that's very important. We're starting to transform our old habits. We may still go back to the Lucy picture, but at least we can come back faster, right? We're at a different point in the spiral. So we might jump off and go back, but we come back. And that's what our practice is about, always coming back to our practice. When the thought train keeps going, just jump off and come back. Okay, taming the ox. The whip and rope are necessary, else he might stray off down some dusty road. Being well trained, he becomes naturally gentle. Then unfettered, he obeys his master. Okay, so we've had this tremendous struggle. Oh, my knee hurts. Oh, I can't possibly concentrate. Oh, is this meditation session ever going to be over? Oh, when is lunch? All of those things that we've been struggling with as our ox, and our ox changes from minute to minute sometimes. It's becoming a little easier. In some of the pictures, the ox herder is just walking. He's still got the rope on the ox, but it's kind of loose because the ox has been tamed, and they're walking along a sort of a riverbank, but he can't let go because the ox might jump into the swamp. His ego is still very persistent at this stage. We have lots of justification for our misguided actions at this stage. It's sort of like, well, I wouldn't have misbehaved if only so-and-so hadn't done this to trigger me. Our triggers still abound, but bit by bit, we become more trusting in our intuition. We actually can see our Buddha nature or glimpse it. And so we keep going. This is where the journey is just kind of plodding along with the ox trailing behind us. Sometimes the ox veers into the ditch and we have to pull him out. But a lot of the time we're just kind of going smoothly. And it's the most critical point at this stage to maintain our daily meditation, because that's what takes us further. So the next slide lets us see what happens. Further stage, number 6, riding the ox home. Mounting the ox, slowly I return home. The voice of my flute intones through the evening, measuring with handbeats the pulsating harmony. I direct the endless rhythm. Whoever hears this melody will join me. Okay. So we're beginning to see the source of all things that resides in us. Tranquility and joy are oftentimes part of this. We might only have it for a fleeting moment, but we see it. We know it's there. We're becoming freed from our old fears. And I also want to point out the little flute he was playing. Some people think that Zen is all very serious and tough, and you have to kind of have a lot of pain, and it's strict. Well, I think that the parable of the ox herder shows us that once we sort of reach a level where there's more ease, it actually can become quite fun and playful. That everything we do can be creative by its nature. Whether it's cooking or practicing or driving, it's all a part of something that's like a giant smile, because we're starting to see that we're not sort of locked in to our habitual patterns, but we can escape them. Up until now, we've wavered in our commitment on the practice. We've kind of said, is this really for me? I don't know. Our determination kind of ran hot and cold, like it sometimes does for all of us. But now we're trusting ourselves more. And so the poisons of anxiety, fear, greed, delusions are kind of melting into 3 virtues: compassion, wisdom, enlightenment. Enlightenment is a big word. So maybe we should use the word awakening, because that, I think, is more manageable for us right now. As we engage and practice more, we begin to see our true self. And I think that's really what it's about. So number 7, the ox transcended. Astride the bull, I reach home. I am serene. The ox too can rest. The dawn has come. In blissful repose within my thatched dwelling, I have abandoned the whip and ropes. Okay. So, everybody's relaxing now. The ox doesn't even need to be there because the practitioner, the ox herder, is so content in his own life that he doesn't feel the struggle. He doesn't have the questions anymore about, is this for me? His questions are deeper. Master Kusan Sunim, a great Korean master, said at this stage, "You are one with the question. It is a question that walks, goes to the toilet, and looks at the countryside." Oh, we realize that the practice itself is our own realization, happening again and again. It's getting easier. We feel like we can rest. When I hear the Master Kusan Sunim quote, it kind of reminds me a little of Alice in Wonderland. I don't know if you remember the caterpillar in Alice in Wonderland, but the caterpillar says to Alice, "Who are you?" And Alice says, "I don't know." And I think that that's a question that's sort of emblematic here, that we're asking the deep questions, but we're not hung up on them, right? We're not trying to intellectualize answers. At that point, we're really flowing and unfolding. And so we get to the next slide, but I wanted to go ahead and put it up, Maria. Before we get to 8, 9, and 10, well, actually, just take it down a second. I wanted to just tell a brief, I don't want you to look at these 3 as unattainable because they are attainable. So I want you to just close your eyes a moment and imagine yourself sitting at night and there's a fire. You're outside in a forest. You're looking at the fire, and up above you is the treetops. And up above them are the stars, and you sort of see the cloudy Milky Way going across, and behind you is your little cabin you're staying in. And you and your companions are just content looking into that fire. So I want you to know that these 3 stages are attainable because I think we all have our own version of that story. So let's put up the next one then, which is number 8. Ox and ox herder, both forgotten. Of course, this is the Zen Enzo, which most of us are familiar with. The circle. Usually it doesn't close. This one's closing. Whip, rope, person, and bull, all merge in no thing. This heaven is so vast, no message can stain it. How may a snowflake exist in a raging fire? Here are the footprints of the ancestors. Okay. This represents the ground of all things that we're a part of. Even the mountains are moving. We've lost our rigid sense of them. We understand that everything is moving and we're a part of it. There's no I or me in our practicing at this level. Our feelings, thoughts, possessions, they come and go. We're not clinging to them. Buddha nature shines through. It's described, I heard it described as a vast blue sky that cannot be reached by our thoughts. Our mind is clear of limitations. Okay, so number 9, returning to the source. Too many steps have been taken returning to the root and the source. Better to have been blind and deaf from the beginning. Dwelling in one's true abode, unconcerned with and without. The river flows tranquilly on and flowers are red. Okay. So what we're finding now is the most ordinary parts of life represent the most profound truths. We've swallowed the whole universe and we're a part of it. We're at one stage of interconnection with everything and we feel it. We have forgotten ourselves. We're enlightened by all things. So the other day I was eating a piece of toast and I thought that was a good illustration because if I were really connected to that piece of toast, I would feel the wheat in my mouth. I would understand the connection and really see the little sprouts as they emerged from the dirt. I would be a part of the sun and the rain that made it happen. I would be a part of all the people who are part of bringing that toast to me. And that is an interconnection that requires a lot of practice. But we realize that all along it's been at our doorstep. It's just beginner's mind. The rivers still flow. The flowers are still red. And we're a part of them all. So number 10, the last one, entering the marketplace. I just wanted to add one thing before we look at this one. Is one of the texts I read, it says, it takes a really skilled teacher, because at this point, practitioners just want to stay at this level. So it takes a really skilled teacher to have them go to the next level. And I had to laugh. I'm like, okay, I can see. Imagine that, like, if you're at that level, that would be really seductive. But I don't think my teacher has to worry about pulling me from that level at this point. So number 10, the last one, entering the marketplace. Barefooted and naked of breast, I mingle with the people of the world. My clothes are ragged and dust laden, and I am ever blissful. I use no magic to extend my life. Now before me, even the dead trees become alive. Right, so the ox herd has come down to the marketplace. He does all the ordinary things that everyone else does in their life. But because of his deep awareness, there's a different quality. Everything that's ordinary becomes extraordinary. Everything he touches, there's an interconnection with. And he is there to give his wisdom to other people. He's not there to impose his opinions on other people, because he laughs at his opinions. He knows how fleeting they are, and he doesn't get caught and hooked by them. We can see this when one person enters the room, and I've been known to do this, there's a sense of anxiety and tension entering the room. But when you're really in your practice, a person enters the room, and the room is filled with peace and calm. We want to help everyone. We don't discriminate between those who we like and those who are grumpy and we don't like. It's a part of who we are. We don't even think about it. We want to be compassionate. We want to help just because that's what we should do. So I wanted to end with something from John Dado Laurie, and I know we have some chanting to do. He says it so much better than I possibly could, so I just wanted to quote him. John Dado Laurie is he's the founder of the Zen Mountain Monastery in New York, and he was a really good artist and photographer, and he sort of started a whole movement in the United States, taking the art from the East and making the creativity of Zen part of our practice. So he says, the spiritual journey is an incredible undertaking. Each step of the way is filled with pearls, which are our accomplishments, and perils, which are our sticking points, our hooks, our tangles, our distractions, that we must go through as the process of clarification develops, right? We go back to those things and we keep getting hooked until we can reach the next level. Realizing and transforming ourselves is no small thing. It's a big deal. It's the most important thing we can do in our lives. So the ox herding parables are signposts. Use them to clarify your path and then let go. And remember that when we practice each day, we're practicing for all beings, not just ourselves. So put yourself fully into practice and take care of the great matter of birth and death. Thank you for the opportunity of sharing these wonderful ox herding parables with you. And you'll be seeing them each week in our e-bulletin too. So be a part of that. And I'm going to turn it over now to Haju Sunim, who will lead us in some chanting.
to sit rather than walk. Oftentimes we do this chanting at the temple, at least standing in front of the altar for a period of time, chanting, and then walking around the meditation hall, and then standing in front of the altar. So you could have your own version of it, even being outside and chanting, stopping by tree, stopping to watch a bird or kids at the park. It's Wa Om Song Jung. HWA, Wa, OM, Om, SUNG, Song, and JEON, Jung. So, Wa, Om, Song, Jung. Wa, Om, Song, Jung. And it means, may the pure land prevail. And the pure land is where the precepts are kept. And the main precept is not to harm, but to cherish all life. So Wa Um Song Jung are the simple Korean words for not to harm, but to cherish all life, and that may that prevail everywhere in the 10 directions, in all situations. So by chanting, we send out that vibration for the benefit of all beings. So let's try. I brought some of my beads here so that you can use your beads when you're doing chanting, when you're walking or sitting. So just holding the thumb by the bead and going, Wow, Song Jung, and then moving to the next one. Wow, Song Jung, Wow, Song Jung, Wow, Song Jung. So if you have your beads, you can do it that. And also, I know some of you have Moktak, so you can try with Moktak. Om Song Jung, 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 Om Song Jung. Om Song Jung, 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 Om Song Jung,
Jong, Wa Song Jong, Wa Song Jong.
Stop. So now we have to get into the sounds a little more. When we start to go a little faster, we lose being with Wa, with Om, all of those Song, Jong. And it's what makes us the chant, and the chant becomes us. So let's continue on with the emphasis on the vowels and the consonants being us. Om
Song Jong, Wa 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 Song Jong.
I encourage you, if you have beats or even if you don't, to think about chanting Wa Song Jong 108 times a day for this coming week of chanting for world peace. I don't know if while we were chanting, you now feel the effect of it on you. For me, I could feel a change in my energy. And oftentimes, that's what we can offer. Everything has an energy, everything does. And we do too. And we can make it an offering for all beings. Wow, Sangha. So now, from our Dharma master, Dewan Sunum in Mexico City, come a little Lunar New Year message, which Ma'um is going to read to us.
Lunar New Year, a time to celebrate life, to look more deeply into time, the passing of time. We do a service, chanting, silence, bowing, and afterwards share and joy with friends, family, Sangha. Meditation practice itself is a form of constant celebration of life. Through practice, we hold our very first and most basic precept, to cherish all life. Living with respect, care, and full attention is to take care of every peculiar situation that arises, and we do that selflessly, naturally, without taking ourselves seriously. Days ago, I was looking at my grandniece climbing a makeshift slide her father had just created for her. She's almost a year old. It was very amusing, a very joyous and moving experience to watch her fully involved in her apparently fruitless attempts to climb. Over and over again she went, totally selfless, totally immersed in her pursuits. Pure experience. Her bright eyes just shining with that gaze children have, totally open. Without an idea of celebrating, she was a celebration of life itself. The present moment is truly something that can be a source of constant nourishment and joy if we keep our unknowing, pristine mind. This continuous present moment, arising and vanishing, it comes to mind the words that many years ago I heard from a woman choreographer before I had any idea at all about Zen. In dance, a movement dies in the very moment that it was born. So it is with every moment. Can we see? Can we see deeply? Can we celebrate life moment after moment? Meditation is knowing yourself. Knowing yourself is setting yourself free of delusion. Setting yourself free of delusion is becoming one with what is. Becoming one with what is enjoying formless life every day. Enjoying formless life is seeing yourself everywhere in happiness and sorrow.
All right, let's, are you doing announcements? Okay. Could you focus on Hayan for announcements, and then we'll come back with the great vows.
Okay, me again. So announcements this week, all this week, we will be doing Wa'um Songjong chanting at the temple. And we invite you via live stream or Zoom to join with us as we do this each evening at the temple.
6:30 in the morning, chanting starts, and 7
in the evening. 6:30 in the morning and 7 in the evening. And if you found nourishment from it today, which I know most of us did, please join us. I think you'll find it then too. Secondly, this coming Thursday is the beginning of our Deepening Your Practice course at the temple. And as we learned from the parable of the ox herd, it's really good to deepen your practice with others and sort of experience this together. So I encourage you to call the temple or email us, AnnArborZenTemple@gmail.com, or you can call us at 734-761-6520. And the third, I guess we won't be having the Wednesday evening sitting like we usually do. We will. So Wednesday evening, we have a sitting every week, and it's interactive on Zoom. Just let us know ahead of time, AnnArborZenTemple@gmail.com, and we will add you to our Zoom list, and you can participate. Anything else that I'm missing? Just finally, gratitude. Thank you so much for your support. The temple is, like all of us these days, just kind of strolling along, and we can only do that because of your support. So we are truly grateful in so many ways.
All right. The 4 great vows. And let's do them a little slowly, feeling them as we felt Wa Om Sum Jung. All beings, one body.
All beings, one body.
I vow to liberate.
I vow to liberate.
Blind passions, one root.
Blind passions, one root.
I vow to penetrate.
I vow to terminate.
Dharma gates, one mind.
Dharma gates, one mind.
I vow to penetrate.
I vow to penetrate.
The great way of Buddha.
The great way of Buddha.
I vow to realize.
I vow to realize.
I think it's blind passions, one root. I vow to terminate. Sorry for the mistake. So as we check out, we'll just do a little more Wa Um Sum Jung chanting. And again, thanks for being with us this morning for this celebration.
Wa Um Sum Jung. 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 Wa Um Sum Jung.